Protea or Protea Prime? Go. First things first. Looking at the abilities, I've got 4 different builds because she's just that fun. But in all the builds, the 4th ability, the time warp deal, that's the one I replace. You'd think that'd be the one that you keep, but it's actually the one I replace. I have a gloom build. I put the gloom here to slow enemies down. Roar. And the nourish build. Boom, boom, boom. I use it for Railjack, so she can fill up her energy really quick. And just a fun build, Fire Blast, which is not needed, but so these first 3 builds are very useful. I highly, highly recommend them. As you can see, the mods here, we got some range going on. We got quite a bit of range. But the one trick is these auger mods. Be really wary about using these on her. Anything that says energy spent on abilities gets converted into shields. That's going to hurt her. It's going to hurt her very much. So, because when she uses her number 1, and she can hold it down or she can tap it. Tap it will create these and slash enemies. Holding it down will create a little area here, and if you walk near it, you'll pick up one of these orbs and it'll fill up your shields. And that doesn't only fill it up, it instantly gives you shield gate, which means an enemy can do 1 million damage to you. Boom. And it'll just take away your shields. But because of this, she's got 2 shield gates. Protea is the only character in the game that has 2 shield gates. So when her shields are removed, and they do another 1 million damage, they're instantly filled up, and she takes another 1 million damage. When that second shield gate is gone, she's indestructible for about 4 seconds. Enough time for you to cast this again and have it fill up your shields again. So what I'm going to do is take a look at the characters here, the enemies. And before I do that, Gloom. We're going to slow the enemies down, and we got plenty of energy because of this dispensary to do it. And Blaze Artillery is just plain nice. And a lot of people will swap these using toggle. They'll toggle it around in the options menu so that when they tap it, it gives the shields. And when they hold it down, it gives the slashes. Not a bad idea, because the shields are actually more important in the late game. But let's take a look at this. I'm going to make sure my pet doesn't attack. So I'm going to my pet and turn off the weapon, and then just double check to make sure the ability is gone. Go. Heavy gunners, they're not going to move. Let's simulate them. Okay. Well, why not? Let's make them move. Twenty of them. Go. So what I'm going to do is turn on number 4. Enemies will be slowed down. And I'll just tap one time. Enemies that are being affected by the slash can't shoot back. They are, and they're slowed down. So they are essentially being staggered indefinitely. This is what makes her so powerful. And then I can take them out when I want to. And just throw a little bit at them, keep them staggered. You know, and so there's that aspect of it. Okay, so her passive says every 4th power cast is granted 100% extra ability strength. So we cast a power, right? And at the bottom right here, you can see it's blue. We cast 1, we cast 2, we cast 3, and we can either make the fire turret now do 100% more ability strength, or Bloom, which is going to make them really slow. So that's one tactic as well. Let's see. One of the big things here is grouping enemies together. If you have a particular weapon or power or operator ability through an arcane, something that'll group the enemies together. Okay, so we will simulate that. I'm going to stagger them, group them up. Turret. See, that's 48 times. 48 times. That's huge. So, go back to this for a moment here. So looking at this, the turret gets stronger and stronger and stronger and doubles in strength after each hit. So it's important to get that strength up as soon as possible. But at the same time, the longer it goes, the more damage it does. So we have duration. And with her, she's going to be casting a lot. So 1 to 2 cast shards. I'd say 2 to 3 duration shards. And 1 to 2 strength shards. And you're set. You're all good. Some people like more duration. Some people like me, I like to get it more damage earlier, because 48 times on that damage output on the turret is not that common. I mean, if I can group the enemies together, awesome, it will happen, but I don't have a lot of grouping abilities, so it's not a big deal. But keeping that auger mod off of her, make sure you don't have this either, Brief Respite. That will do the exact same thing. It'll cause her to cast an ability and gain only 1 shield gate instead of 2. So let's do this. Go ahead and simulate them. I'm just going to take damage. Put that out. Let them do their thing. See how I'm indestructible? Boom. Indestructible. 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 And if I had an auger mod, I'd be so dead. And being indestructible for when my health goes gray gives me just enough time to cast it again. And they're never going to kill me. This is why in harder difficulties, it's so important to have the number 1 swapped over. So you tap it, and it puts that out. Gives you plenty of time to keep casting it. Okay, let's get out of here. So she's essentially indestructible, as long as you're not using an auger mod, or no one else in your party is using Brief Respite. So, squad converts 150% of energy spent on abilities into shields. You don't want that at all. So another build I have is a roar build. Like I said, her passive is every fourth ability cast gets 100% more ability strength. Well, what ability is that going to be? It's going to be roar. And this one's meant to be more spammy. So I'll cast the enemies, cast that, cast that, cast that. Now fourth ability, roar. And just spam number 1. Spam number 2, number 1. All the enemies that have slashes on them and are being affected by the number 1 are not attacking back. So that's a spam build that's more or less for party friendly. You're helping your teammates, putting slashes on enemies, doing damage. Nourish. This is for Railjack when you're trying to get lots of energy for casting all kinds of stuff for your teammates and using lots of missiles. And so we 1, 2, 3. Not important, actually. Nourish. I'm gonna try and use up all my energy. It's almost impossible to use up all the energy. It just fills up so fast. You can't use it up quick enough. And that's not a bad build either. So those are the 3 main ones. So when I deal damage with my turret, it will deal it twice. The heat over time. So if you don't have this, and just use regular vitality until it's time to you get this and you need to swap it over. Umbral Intensify, totally worth it in this spot. Transient Fortitude, Prime Continuity will counteract some of the drawbacks of the duration. Rolling Guard, Stretch, Equilibrium, Flow, Prime Sure-Footed so I don't get knocked down. Arcane Blessing, not needed, but as I'm casting, I may as well be healing everyone. It's just an option slot, it's nothing serious. Arcane Eruption, when I'm hacking things in Railjack, I drop down my number 3. And when I pick up energy, it knocks the enemies nearby onto the ground, keeping them away from me. It's not necessary again. So these are both open for options. The Roar one will augment it so I get more ability strength, so everything does more damage and a better roar in the end. So we'd end up with 373 plus 60 ability strength. That's a lot of ability strength. That's a really good roar. Blind Rage, Rolling Guard, Equilibrium, Vitality, Flow, Stretch, Continuity. You'll notice that the range is not super big on this one. It doesn't really need to be. But on the Gloom build, I want it to be map wide. I want to slow everything on the map for the most part. So we have Mole Augmented to get this Gloom up as slow as possible. 4th ability cast will be Gloom. And overextended, we're losing strength. We're gaining some more range. But we're not using any of the Augur mods or the oh, I have to see it. Refresh Spite right here. So Arcane Energize could be rank 1, it doesn't matter. And you're good to go. If you don't have these mods, you can always use alternatives. But as you can see here, only 114 strength. But it'll go up here. And it's a pretty devastating build. Enemies just can't fight back. They can't do anything. Who says she can't tank?